All right, thank you for starting to watch the first part of the K to 8 mentor training. Right in this video, we're going to be talking about just the program basics, like the structure and the goals of what we're doing. So here's the like the timeline of a typical day. Every Tuesday and Thursday we follow this schedule. And so for the K to 5 program, those students arrive on the bus around 3:30, and so that's when they're coming in. So from 3:30 to 4 o'clock, they're arriving, they're getting their snack, they're just kind of hanging out and talking with some of the staff and mentors. And then we always try to do some movement during that time as well to kind of get the willies out and get them ready to do homework, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then homework happens until about 4:45, and then between 4:45 to 5:15 we dismiss students. So right now we're only bringing students who have homework to the program. We're doing this because we're limited on the space. And so once a student finishes their homework, they're welcome to go home, but they also are welcome to stay and do some reading or story time or just crafts with us. So around 4:45, if they finish their homework, then we send them home. But if they are still working on their homework, we still, of course, will allow them to stay until around quarter after 5 until they finished their homework. So the middle school students then are about an hour later and everything because their bus arrives back home around an hour after the K to 5 students. So they're arriving around 4:30, and they actually have a separate room from the K to 5 students, which is really nice. And so they go into that separate room and they kind of follow the same structure as the K to 5 students. Um, of course, the energy is a little bit different, but generally they have about an hour to work on their homework. And then they have, some time to maybe do some crafts or reading together with the mentors. And then around 6:15, we send the kids home. And so this is always tentative to change. I mean, depending on the day, or maybe there's not many kids and we're dismissing early, or maybe there's way too many who have homework and we might need to stay a little bit later. Of course, always leave when you need to leave if you have other obligations. And sometimes we might ask you as a mentor to walk some of the kids home at the end of the program. So if you're a K to 5 mentor, you're welcome to stick around for the middle school group as well. It's really, we're a pretty flexible program. So just make sure to check in with Obata or Morgan or Juliet, who will be there every day. So you'll be in this building here, and so if you walk up this sidewalk to this door right in the front here, you'll text the group me to let Morgan or Obata or Juliet know that you're there. So those are the three staff members: Obata, Morgan, and Juliet. And they're going to be there at 950 Woodlow Street by 3 o'clock every time at least. Morgan and Juliet actually go and wait at the bus stop with the kids, and then they walk them to the program. And during that walk, that's when they're determining whether or not the students have homework. And so this is really important for us because we are limited on space to make sure that we are only bringing in the kids who do have homework. And of course, some of the kids are going to they actually kind of make up their own homework just so that they can come, which speaks to the value of the program, and also kind of the trickiness of our job. So really, just try to do your best when you're working with the kids. If they don't have homework, make sure that they're not being a distraction to others, and make sure that they're doing something that's still productive for themselves in their English learning. Here's some pictures. This is not the space that we are in now. This is a previous space at a church in the neighborhood. But that's some of the crew. We have Obata here in the center leading the group, and Diodane, who's kind of become his right-hand man. He's one of the students who's taken on kind of a leadership role as a fifth grader. And then on the side here, we have some of our mentors. And one of the days we brought in slime, and we did a slime making activity. And we want to do more art activities like this in the program space now. It's just been a little bit challenging because we've had to recently change into this new space. But we are looking to add more stuff like this. Like doing slime. And so anytime that you have any ideas, certainly let us know. We are always welcoming and hoping to hear from volunteers. And this is in the new space, so we have like a couch here for reading, and there's some crafting tables in the back, and then there's board games and all sorts of books as well for the kids to be reading. And so the goals for the K-8 program are to promote personal growth, safety, and connection. We do this by doing our homework and having fun. So always working on their English skills and their academic readiness. That's a really important piece, not only for their academic success, but also for their social emotional well-being, so that they fit in and that they have the skills that their peers have at school, so that they're turning in homework when their peers are turning in their homework as well. And we also want to develop mutual understanding between the students themselves, both in the program and the wider community. So you'll notice when you come to the program that this is, the group of kids we work with is a very small portion of that neighborhood. So the rest of the neighborhood, there's other refugee and immigrant families, but there's a lot of American-born families as well who are not part of our program, because we are focusing specifically on English learners, just because that's a special protected group. And so we only have enough resources to work with them. And so we still want to try to develop the kids' social emotional vocabulary and development so that they can foster those relationships on their own in a healthy and positive way. Of course, many of our kids have experienced the trauma just of migrating here or living in a refugee camp, but there also may be some other traumas as well that they've experienced. And so we want to provide them a space to heal through art and storytelling as well. And building positive, caring, and helpful relationships with caring mentors is a really important piece of that healing as well. They hear what the president is saying, they read the news, they get bullied at school by American kids, and so it's important for them to see people like you who are from America and who are from the larger community who are welcoming them and making them feel as though they are recognized as a valuable piece of our community. So when you're working with the kids, you'll notice that sometimes they get distracted. It's difficult for them to focus, and so we try to do certain things in order to help them focus more. So, like I said earlier, every time that we're warming up with the kids before doing homework, Obata, the director, likes to do some sort of stretch or movement, maybe push-ups or jumping jacks or a dance of some sort. And that's very valuable. Maybe the kid needs to, if you're working on homework and they feel like they're stuck, maybe suggest just going on a walk and doing that and then coming back to sit down. Always try to make it fun. Like laugh with the student. Try to make kind of gamifying things if you can, and always encouraging them and using the like proper vocabulary in order to encourage them. And we'll talk about those words and what to say in a little bit. Okay, so now we can focus on the mentor's do's and don'ts. So we'll first say what's on the left side, which is a do, and then we'll follow up with what not to do. So we do want you to engage the students and take initiative. So we don't want you standing on the side of the room just kind of hanging out on your phone or waiting for a student to come ask you for help. The students might feel shy, others might ask you for help, but you should always be looking for something to do. You should always be active. So if you see a student working alone, go and work with them or ask them if they want help. Maybe they don't, but at least make that offer or just sit with them and just talk to them. We do want you to share if you're taking pictures of the kids, that's okay. We do want you to share that with the program director, but you are not allowed to post any of those pictures to your own social media. That's a really hard and fast rule that we can't allow. So if it is shared by JFCS or ARYSE, then you are allowed to share that on your own Facebook, because we have the permission from the parents to share it on our organization pages. So you would then be able to share that photo that is on the organization page. You should show up at 3:30 if you can. We only start the program at 4 o'clock officially, so please make sure you arrive by then. Don't be late. If you can't make it, or if you're running late from class, certainly that's something to let us know about. Always be texting with Juliet, who is the main contact for you as a volunteer, to let her know if you're unable to make it or if you're running late. You should read or play games with the students who finish homework to make sure that you're keeping them engaged so that they don't distract other students, and also to continue and fostering their learning. Don't be on your phone or let students be on your phone. That's something that can become pretty problematic, and foster jealousy and anger. And so the students themselves really would prefer just having all your attention all the time. And so just please try to do that. I mean, answer any emergencies that you need to, but make sure that you're giving your students the full focus that you have. And try to work with 2 or 3 students at a time. It's really challenging. An easy way to do this is to find students who have the same homework and have them work together. Sometimes they might say, oh, I don't like them, but you have to kind of just work past that. But we really don't want you to focus on just one student, because we don't have the ratio in order to do one-to-one mentoring, and we don't want certain students to feel special or forgotten necessarily. And so that's why we ask you to focus on 2 or 3 students when possible. And so that's why we ask you to focus on 2 or 3 students at a time. And that concludes our section on the basics of the K-8 program structure. So now please watch the next video where we'll talk about behavior management and mentoring with the students.